Yes, you are listening to the Ready, Set, Retire radio podcast with Steve Anzoni. My name is Jessica Forkel. Get more details on the website at fairwayfinancial.net. We know a couple weeks back we saw a little, a dip in the market. Some people started to panic, and some people, even though the market recovered, pretty quickly, a lot of folks are still panicking. So the swings on Wall Street have been intense lately. And as I said, you have some folks on the sidelines panicking. But financial author Robert Prechter tells Fox Business that there's really no need to panic. Sit back, relax. Listen to this.
To me, the key is to not worry too much about the day by day. You can see once the bear bites how much it can take away in a short period of time. The stock market has been the most overpriced and overowned it has ever been. So we're going to very calmly just sit and wait. And when everything changes and we see indicators on a long-term basis that are back at least in neutral, if not bullish, then we'll change our minds. But right now we just say stay in your bunker and watch the show.
All right. So kind of hold on tight and wait to see what happens.
I love his attitude because that is the right approach. I mean, unless you're ready to retire tomorrow or a month ago, God forbid, and you were starting to take income from that pile that shrank. And that is the ultimate challenge is, and I know I'm being Captain Obvious here, but you should never have all your eggs in one basket, no matter how good you think it looks today or tomorrow. It's such common sense, and you need to protect yourself from economic indicators that it's impossible to control. And I've been preaching this for over a month or two in my radio show. Right now, lifetime income annuities are at the highest payout rates that I have ever seen in the business. Like I said, I had a call the other day, and this lady said, hey, I got some money. My mom passed, and I have this inheritance, and I'm looking for some income. I'm not sure what to do. I went to my local bank to try to get some financial advice, and she got all confused and left. And so she called me. And in 5 minutes, I basically educated her on what she needed to know. She's like, oh, my God, you just get right to the point, don't you? And I'm like, well, why why bother not?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? I'm going to sit here and talk about the weather and everything else and try to baffle you with my brilliance and all this other stuff like these other people do? I go, I don't need to do that. I've been in business forever. Here's what you need to know. Here's the numbers. Here's the payouts. And listen to this. I was getting her a payout of over 8.5%. So listen, did you hear that, people out there?
8.5%.
In other words, you give me $200,000 in year one, you're getting $17,000 a year for the rest of your lifetime.
Wow.
Okay? In writing a contract that says that. Not a maybe, not a could be, not a hypothetical, none of that garbage. Now that is a powerful paycheck. And she was blown away. She's like, oh my God. She goes, that is way better than what the guy at the bank was telling me. And I said, well, no offense to the guy at the bank, but he should be dealing with banking products and not do what I do. And so anyway, we're seeing each other, I think, next Wednesday. I think she's coming in the office. But that's what 35 plus years will do for you in this business, is it will build confidence in what I know. And the people on the other end of the line can hear that and see that. It's like going to a doctor, right? Okay, I'll give you a real life example. I'm getting knee surgery done in November. And I mean, I just have to. I beat myself up over the years. I played hockey, rugby, football, all this stuff, right? And
Nice.
Listen, my knee is what it is. And I'm still a child at heart. And, I want to still ski. And I can still play golf with the bad knee, although I'd rather have better knees to, use the legs in the swing. So I'm going. So I interviewed some doctors, and I talked to this guy. I got a referral from a doctor friend of mine in Boston. I went to see this guy, and I find out that this guy invented most of the knee replacement stuff that other doctors are using. Invented it. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm in the right room. So I'm sitting here talking with this guy. He goes, look, when I'm done, you're going to have the best knee around. And he didn't say it cockily or anything like that. He said it with just such casual confidence, like he's been there before, that I just looked at him and I said, all right, let's do it. Done. I mean, I knew I found the right guy there.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to try to do for people who come into my office. I want to help them, educate them, and have them get that feeling that, hey, this guy's an advocate for me, okay? He's not representing a company, or he's not in here with the wrong intentions. He's absolutely looking out for my best interests, and boy, does he know his stuff. That's what I want to leave people with when they come visit me or talk to me over the phone. So that's my goal. And if you want to get that comfort zone and you want to get that confidence feeling, then give us a call, 508-552-3230. Look, it's not going to hurt you to make a phone call and say, hey, this is where I'm at, Steve. This is what I've got. I've had so many calls recently. It's just insane on people who have even older annuities, right, who believe in the annuity concept, but they have older annuities with lower interest rates. I mean, look, rates 2 or 3 years ago, let's face it, 2 or 3%, you would have been jumping for joy. And today, they're much higher than that. So, if you had a mortgage at 7 and you could refinance at 2.25, would you think about it for a month, or would you do it? Of course you'd do it. Conversely, if you had a CD or an annuity at 3 and you had the opportunity to get 5, would you really sit there and think about it, or would you do it?
Yeah, no, it makes sense, especially when you talk about, okay, do I have potential to maybe sort of kind of hopefully make some money in the market, or do I like this guaranteed, as you talked about here, lifetime income annuity option with, I think you mentioned a couple minutes ago, was it 8% or 8.5% or?
Yeah, 8.5%.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get that guaranteed 8.5%. That right there is huge. And when you think about income in retirement, I don't know about you. When I think about income, I think money, right? How much money do I need? Income and money. How much is it going to keep me afloat in retirement?
Look, that's the bottom line. It's the check.
Yeah.
Jess, it's not like, oh, look at my fancy statement. Isn't this cool? I got this awesome chart, and it shows me my top 10 holdings and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know what? That's great. That's a history lesson. And they look at me, well, the statement was as of 6/30 this year. I'm like, yeah, that's a history lesson.
Yeah.
It's over. It's done. Your statement is never worth the same the next day. Just so you guys know, unless you're totally in a fixed money market position with all your money, which, of course, people in the 401ks and IRAs are not. So let's just be clear as to what I'm trying to do for people, and it's to help them to not have all their eggs by default in one basket. And what I mean by default is we all have a 401k plan when we're working, just about everybody. And we all contribute to it because we've been told that that's the best way to go for our future. And for the most part, it's not wrong. But what happens is all our money is channeled there, and we get so used to it. So by the time we're like 60, 65, 62, and we're thinking about retirement and trying to do that stuff, all our money is there. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, we need to look at alternatives. And the problem is where you are, where you're at work, they don't give you alternatives because they want you to stay in that plan because that's how they get paid. What you want to do is to work with someone who's independent who can give you the options, and that's where I come into play, where I could sit down, call your 401k administrator, find out what's going on, and give you some ideas and options like I did with that lady for the income. She never even heard of that thing. So, again, it's 508-552-3230. That's 508-552-3230. Just give us a call and say, hey, Steve, I heard you on the radio, and it makes sense to me. Let's just have a chat. And that's exactly what we'll do, is just have a conversation, whether it's in person or on the phone, whatever you like. Our main office is right here in Hyannis Center. We got about a week left for the tourists, so pretty good time of year to come in. And we're right here on Main Street, right next to all the shops and the restaurants. It's a really great location, and we'd love for you to come in and meet the staff. I have an unbelievable team, and when you come in, you're going to see exactly what I mean about, hey, this guy knows his stuff, he's been around the block, and he has a great team, and I'd love to be a part of it.
Every year, Charles Schwab asks Americans how much money they think they're going to need in retirement. Well, the new answer that came back was $1 $2.8 million. Believe it or not, that's the same as it was in last year's survey. So does shooting for a specific magic number make sense, or do you find that the figure is more or less coming off the top of individuals' heads? How do you design these plans?
Well, most of it's off the top of individual heads who have nothing better to do than that's their job, is to predict numbers and stuff like that. But the reality is it's not really just about how much money you have. I mean, clearly the more you have, the better off you're going to be, but it's about debt. I mean, you could have $4 million, but if you have $5 million of debt, ain't going to help you. So it's really about getting rid of, credit card debt is evil, number one. And then if you have a mortgage, over 6-7%, trying to get that done, because that'll free up a lot of money. I mean, if you can save $2 or $3 grand a month, it's like having $2 or $3 grand a month of income. So the less debt you have will certainly help get you to where you need to be. That's always been my rule. I don't like to throw hard numbers at people because, you meet people and through life circumstances and whatnot, they've tried and they've worked hard and they saved and they got maybe $400,000 or $500,000, right? And what am I going to do? I'm going to sit here and make them feel like, oh, really? That's it? I mean, that to me just doesn't sit well because, I was a blue-collar kid from Everett. We didn't have much money at all, but yet we figure out a way to make it work. And that's really the reality is you got to just kind of figure out the way and save what you can and try to eliminate as much debt as you can. To me, that's paramount. That's number one. So, yeah, it's nice to have more money and 1.8, 1.7, whatever. To me, it's all about the cash flow and the lack of debt, Jess. I mean, that's really the bottom line there in my experience, and I have a lot of it.
Yeah, you do over 35 years. And to that point, right, it's about debt and all that kind of stuff also. But, everybody's situation is different. What are your wants, needs, desires in retirement? How much debt do you have? Are you paying for someone's college? What exactly are you responsible for is also going to factor into your retirement income. And I know it kind of spans across the board for folks. I was having this conversation with my mom, who's been retired for a couple years now. And one of the things she brought up was, I have the money to pay the bills and a couple things here and there, but what's killing me is this inflation at the grocery store. I don't have all this extra. My money that I've saved and accumulated and is paying me every month is not keeping up with it.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very real concern, is exactly that. It's the inflation numbers that they're not talking about on television, the food, the gas, all that stuff, the utilities. Those are the real numbers, and that's what's really eating into people's wallets. So, like I said, the better you can control the debt situation, the better off you're going to be. And I know that, it's easier said than done because life does get in the way. But that's where you got to do. That's how you got to manage. And you got to be in the right vehicles, too. I mean, if you've got most of your money in a 401k, and yes, the market's been generous to us lately, and that's wonderful, but there's no guarantees there. There's no way to predict cash flow and income a year out. You know what I mean? 2 years out, 3 years out. Like, where are you going to be? And that's tough to plan like that. That's why Social Security is a great safety net for a lot of people, and pensions are, oh my God, they're worth, millions of dollars. I mean, if you have a $60,000 pension, that alone is like having $1.5 million in a 401k right there. So if you have a pension, you're very fortunate. If you don't, you need to figure out a way to create a pension for yourself. And that is one of the major benefits that annuities can bring. And I know I sound like a broken record, but that record is worth listening to because what people thrive for the most is greater peace of mind, and income can help bring that to people. Guaranteed income, something that they can rely on. So that's what an annuity can do. And it makes sense, in my opinion, to take a piece of your retirement assets, whether you have $500 or $1 million, of money saved. You should take a piece of that and see what these lifetime income annuities can buy for you, and if you're married, your spouse, because it can change your whole perspective on retirement planning, especially when you get payout rates, like I mentioned earlier, at 8.5%, 8%. I mean, that's just nuts. Think about it. You know, if you have $500,000, if you take 200,000 of that, you're going to guarantee 16 grand a year, no matter what happens. Done. So now, between that and Social Security, maybe you've got your base income that you can stay where you are, right? Not be concerned about any of that stuff. And now with the rest of the money, we can work out sort of a withdrawal plan that won't exhaust all the money and you won't have to lean on as much. So that's the key to having different pieces of the puzzle, Jess. It's really paramount to a successful retirement plan.
Yeah, you know, for those that want to come in, Steve, and they want to talk to you about, you know, do I have enough income? Have I saved enough? How do I keep up, you know, with inflation? How do I know I've done enough? I mean, what's that process like? Sitting down with you for the very first time with anybody, whether they have a plan in place right now or they're walking in with nothing.
I think it's very interesting because people aren't used to the way that I sit and chat with people, right? They're used to having some robotic person in a really fancy suit with a tie on talk about all these crazy numbers and go on for hours. I don't work that way. I come in, I sit down, let's talk about your situation. What's going on? What do you got? What are you concerned about? And then I let them talk. Really, I don't talk much when other people come in because I want to hear what they're concerned about, what they have for money, what their goals are. Are they going to downsize the house? Are they going to move to a different state? Because all this can play a role in how much cash flow you need, too. Because we looked at these numbers earlier. This guy was talking about don't panic and this and that. And we're looking at the 2022 median U.S. income of $74,000. Who cares? I mean, look, if you're living in New York City, $74,000 is basically poverty. If you're living in Arkansas, you can live very high off the hog. See what I did there? Arkansas hogs. See how that works?
I got you.
But seriously, it depends on where you live. I have a lot of people who have lived in Massachusetts and have moved to parts of Florida that aren't on the ocean that is affordable. South Carolina and North Carolina is a big state for people relocating from here. A lot of my clients have. And they're thrilled. They're like, oh, my God, Steve. It's like I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for $429,000. And they're like, they're in heaven, you know, because they sold their house up here for $700,000. And they're living very, very comfortably. Now, that's not for everybody, right? If you love where you live up here, then that's part of living here, right? And you have to just figure it out. But that's all part of the thing. So I listen, I talk. It's a first meeting. We don't do any transactions. We don't do any of that stuff. I just collect data. I ask where the money is. Do you know what the risks are? Do you know what you have? And I want to help educate. And sometimes, Jess, I'll get on the phone with their 401k folks or whatever, they got IRAs, and I'll ask questions. And we'll take notes, and they'll take notes and like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, I didn't know I had that, or this, that, or what the fee is, or this and that. So I try to just help and educate them. And then from there, I say, hey, here's the deal. A, I can either help your situation and improve what you're doing. B, I think you need to see an attorney first and get some trust work done or something like that. Or C, you've done a bang-up job. You probably don't need me at all. And thanks for coming in and good luck. I mean, that's how the meeting goes, literally.
Right.
Get more details on the website, fairwayfinancial.net. That's fairwayfinancial.net.
Steve Anzoni is a licensed insurance provider by the Division of Insurance and is not registered as an investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve Anzoni, Massachusetts Insurance License 3851053. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Anzoni is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Anzoni is licensed in your state, please call 508-398-3337.